I wish you good luck.
Hey, what happened?
Thank you, Ninja. Sorry about that. Hello, Ninja. Sorry about that. Okay, I think everything else is going. I guess I have to watch. Smack to like, bro. Have a good stream. Thanks, Dub. I don't know how I had it muted. That's weird. It was no ordinary blackout. If it were, the faint light from machines running on battery power such as cell phones would remain. But the silence disturbed even more. He hadn't heard as much as a single cry. Oh, I got smudges on my glasses. How you doing today, Ninja? Your day going well? I got like smudges on my glasses, sorry. But that's alright. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Man. I hate getting smudges on my glasses, it's really annoying. You know what I mean? I don't know. If any of you wear glasses, you'll get what I'm saying. But man, are they the worst? Like, you just see like a smudge in your vision. And it's the worst. Must be on this side. Terranord's down with all of the codes, and I got the DM skip. Nice! Congrats! I know you've been working really hard to get that. I can't tell if these are just glares or it looks pretty clean. Yeah, right there. What is that? It's only noticeable. Right there. What is that? Stupid glasses. Oh, I see. It's a glare off the computer monitor. Okay, so I just do that and it won't be there. Okay, my bad. I want my critical rank. I'm 358,000. I'm so close I can almost taste it. You'll get there, Ninja. I believe in you. If there's anyone that can do it, it's you. Anyway. Playing Kingdom Hearts, I thought I would pop up real quick and say hi. Long time no see, dear friend. I'm working on getting Impact right now. It's a bit of a head scratcher. I'm not getting Impact in my life. I see. But the silence disturbed him even more. He hadn't so much as a single cry. When he looked around, he saw one spot in the darkness where something was giving off an eerie glow, as if painted in incandescent and pigment. Oh, they're finally going to talk about the dark hour? I was wondering. I'm like, they like bring up the shadows, but is the dark hour still around, or... I guess no, it wasn't. Once his eyes began to adjust in the darkness, he was finally able to make out the area around the light. Shining spot was revealed as a small, strangely decorated box that the man who had only just delivered to the forensics unit.
Forensics team! What the hell is...
He called out, still squinting at the shadow of a person he could see at the window before him, but as the shape dissolved, he saw it was not of a person's shadow at all. He had no words to describe it. At first glance, it seemed to be a coffin. Indeed, that is what it was shaped like. But he had never seen a coffin standing upright, tall as an adult, shining like a dark crystal. That was clearly what the crystalline mass was, squatting on the spot where the window clerk normally stood. And upon closer examination, it wasn't the only one. As desks in front of the evidence shelf next to a reference computer, the objects towered everywhere, as if they had taken the place of humans.
What are these?
A chill ran down the man's spine. They're people, was the thought that instinctively came to mind. Was this the reason he couldn't hear anyone else's voices? I fairly finished the main campaign in Ace. Congrats, dude. Was it because everyone but him was...
What's going on?
Once the fear had set in, it wasn't easy to shake off. His familiar office was starting to look like a grotesque netherworld. He felt quite sure that he had to get out. Quickly, he turned to grab the knob to the door, though, which he had just entered, but...
What the...
It didn't budge. It wasn't that the door was locked, preventing the knob from turning the latch. The knob was completely frozen in place.
Is anyone here? Hey, let me out!
The man slammed his fist against the door, yelling in desperation. But the sensation he felt when his fist impacted the surface wasn't that of hitting a door. It felt completely at odds with what he saw, as if a picture of a door had been drawn into a solid wall. As then the man noticed that another light, similar in color to that emanating from the box, could be seen on part of his hand as he swung it forward. It was a ring, and then suddenly he remembered. When he brought it in the small box, he found several bizarre ring-shaped objects with it. While handing it over to forensics, he suspected that they might be rings. To check on the theory, he put one on. Now that ring was emitting the same eerie light as the box. Though he still had no idea what was going on, it was immediately apparent that it was directly related to the current situation. The man grabbed the ring with sweat-slicked fingers and tugged, ready to pull his own finger if necessary. Just in that moment,
take that off right now.
the man can't help but grasp. He looked around but couldn't sense no one inside the room with him. Where had that voice come from?
I'll be there to rescue you shortly. Calm yourself and wait there.
When the man calmed himself, he realized that it wasn't a voice. The sensation was indescribable, but it was distinctly unlike hearing with one's ears.
Who's there?
Oh, pardon me. This is Mitsuru Kirijo. We met earlier.
Kirijo. He did know a Kirijo. It was she who brought the strange small box, and that wasn't all he knew. Kirijos were a wicked family who used their fortune to influence as a shield, continuing to frustrate the police. Despite that, the man couldn't help but feel relief wash over him. Perhaps he might survive this after all.
Oh, well, I appreciate the help. Just hurry.
After getting the muttered words out, he sank to the floor of the door at his back. Mitsuru Kirijo. If he recalled correctly, she was the eldest daughter of the Kirijo group's founding family. He noted that her voice had been far calmer than his, despite the situation they were both in. He sensed a measure of trustworthiness from her, and to think it had been merely an hour ago that he was asking himself why such a young girl had been chosen as the head of the Kirijo group at all. The digital clock on the corner of the desk quietly announced the arrival at 10 o'clock in the morning. Normally, most of the staff would be in and about by now. The entire police department was in turmoil today. It was only to be expected with a key figure from the Kirijo group visiting on unusual business.
Kirijo, huh?
The Kirijo group was a major trading firm synonymous with Japan. They had links to all areas of business. Not a day could go by in the city without hearing their name. The clock that struck 10 before the logo of Kirijo Electronics and KJ was the carrier of the cell phone provided to every member of the force. A few days ago, the same Kirijo group had made a seemingly insane proposal. The document was hundreds of pages, but a brief summary would read, "We wish to collaborate with the police on an unofficial department for eliminating monsters."
Well, it does happen from time to time. Famous businessmen end up advocating cultish nonsense in pursuit of their ambitions.
Upon consideration, it was decided the Kirijo group should be invited in to give their pitch. Of course, that was no intention of spending tax money on the outlandish proposal. The police interest in humor in the Kirijo group lay elsewhere. The Kirijo group had offered an incentive whereby if the police agreed to the meeting, they would provide a detailed list of the ergonomics research lab's artifacts, as well as actual samples. It was this that drove the officials' decision, for there had been dark rumors banded about the Kirijo group over the last 10 years. While still a family-run business, some said the old man Koetsu Kirijo had delved into paranormal research and was performing inhuman experiments. The police collected enough evidence to test the rumor and probed many times to force an investigation, but every time the investigation came to nothing due to the group exerting hidden pressure, frustrating those working on the case to no end. The investigation's prime target was the infamous Ergo Research, the Kirijo Ergonomics Research Lab. Exposing the Kirijo group's dark side had been a dream of public safety's for 10 years now. Now Kirijo seemed willing to hand over Ergo's research tightly guarded secrets on a silver platter. No one knew the reason for the sudden about-face, but neither did anyone think of turning them down. They agreed to spend not to hear out whatever proposal Kirijo was on, but as a stepping stone toward unearthing the past crimes. Time passed, and the agreed-upon time in the afternoon came. The man was tasked while watching over and bringing in the artifacts for the Kirijo group. Though he would not speak with the guests, the police's plan afforded him a major responsibility that gave him something like a leading role. It wasn't long before the Kirijo car arrived in the underground porticoish. I don't know what that is. Staff there to receive the guests only shrugged at the long black limousine that would have turned heads on the main roads. Only of the youngest recruits looked towards the man and asked a question.
Chief, what's with that car?
But that was the least of the surprise in store. When the Kirijo group representative stepped out of the limousine, she was shown to be a beautiful young woman no older than a university student. Not only that, but she had attendants dressed in what could only be described as maid uniforms. All of them were young women roughly her age. Scene mesmerized the various dignitary presence to greet her.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am Mitsuru Kirijo,
Hey, Christina.
representing the Kirijo group.
Her brisk greeting radiated poise. From there, she shook hands with the assembled dignitaries in a manner that showed she was no stranger to social gatherings.
She's the company rep? Really?
The young recruit was sneaking looks out of the corner of his eye, muttered in spite of himself.
Their proposal said the rep who's coming today would be the leader of this new unit, but I thought it was supposed to be some hardcore armed response team, and she's leading it? Well, I guess it's better than some meathead.
Shut up and hold your position.
And in truth, the man felt the same way. Certainly the monster extermination unit would never be incorporated, but even if it were, he was sure this wisp of a girl could never do such work. Eventually, the dignitaries entered the agency alone with Miss Kirijo. All of them were lopsided smiles due to the young beauty's unexpected appearance, but that would do for now. The dignitaries were only there to receive her. Their true objective was loaded into the truck parked behind the limousine. The documents and artifacts of Ergo research.
All right, start bringing them in.
Roger, sir.
No hangover? No, I was alright. At the man's signal, his trained subordinates surrounded the Kirijo truck. They formed a line, smoothly passing boxes from man to man into building. The articles were of various sizes, with even a few that came in oversized metallic containers for aerial transport. The Kirijo group had warned them not to handle these things carelessly until explanations were forthcoming. But in truth, the department was already prepared to begin a forensic investigation of the objects or even send them to the lab.
Are you sure it's okay for us to open these? The instructions said...
It won't be a real investigation if we let them hamstring our procedures. Besides, I can't think of anything they could send us that we couldn't handle, unless there's real monsters inside these things.
The articles were brought in silence. The operation only lasted about 15 minutes. The man himself received the last item, about the size of a jewelry box, and checked the truck to make sure nothing went overlooked before closing it up. That done, he turned to walk quietly towards the forensics room. Try though he might to maintain his composure, he couldn't contain the excitement he felt. For 10 years, the darkness of the Kirijo group had been a frustrating legend, like a mist between the department's fingers. Their chance to investigate and expose them was here at last. If even the slightest evidence matched the DNA of those who had gone missing, or the victims in unsolved cases, victory would be theirs. Their man tried to tamp down his exhilaration and took another look at the small box. He yelled. There was no upper lid on the box. The pedestal-like protrusions at its center held a number of small circular trinkets. Their usage was completely unknown. What kind of research produced these? Just as the man was about to hand the box to the window clerk, he saw a wedding ring that clerk's finger and came to a realization.
These rings?
We're not sure yet.
The man put on some protective latex gloves and tried one of the objects on. After looking at it for every angle, its color and shape seemed to be nothing but ordinary. If it was meant to be jewelry, it wasn't very attractive. The man couldn't picture scientists in lab coats slaving away in a lab to create rings like this. The moment that unlikely possibility came to mind, the man felt somewhat embarrassed by his ignorance of fashion and accessories. As soon as he reached for the small enough to put the ring back inside, darkness suddenly fell.
Please step away from the door.
Have you got to look at our battle sprite yet? I don't think so. The voice echoing in the man's mind brought him back to reality. He took a few steps away from the door as directed and stood ready. Step away from the door. The more he thought about it, the stranger the order seemed. How did she know he was so close to the door when she wasn't even in the room? Suddenly a chill filled the air. In mere seconds, the entire door was coated in white.
Where'd this ice come from?
It had frosted over. The man couldn't believe his eyes, but the evidence was there in front of him. He could then hear a slight knocking sound, followed by a crack forming in the center. The door buckled under its own weight and crumbled with a sound that was like building blocks being pushed over. Saying just past it was the curator woman. She walked over to the man with exquisite nonchalance. At her side was one of the maids she brought.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
We did give you fair warning, but it seems to have gone unheeded.
The man looked towards the ring shining on his finger.
And this happened because we touched that box? What is this thing?
That ring gives its bearer an unstable form of pseudo-potential and allows anyone to experience the Dark Hour.
The Dark Hour?
The box itself seems to be a failed recreation of the Dark Hour. The effect radius is small, and it malfunctions when improperly handled.
The Dark Hour. He remembered that phrase coming up in the documents the curator group had sent. If you recall correctly, it was defined as a hidden time, unable to be experienced by normal people, which everything stood still. According to the documents, it seemed to have occurred every night at midnight for about 10 years, until spring 2011 as if forcing its way into a normal time. Till now it seemed like pure fantasy, but could this silent darkness be the very same thing?
So you're saying those stories
Hey,
in
Clint.
that document? That occult-sounding stuff was actually for real?
At that moment, a voice suddenly echoed from beyond the hallway past the broken door.
Who's there?
Man reflexively called out in alarm, realizing the fear had not yet died down. What emerged from the darkness was the younger recruit had greeted the guest earlier and had been helping with bringing in the artifact. The young man was staggering as if severely drunk.
Hey, are you alright?
Man began to rush to his side, but the curator woman silently stopped him. She stood between the two as if protecting the man.
What? He's my...
Before he finished, surprisingly, the change overtook the recruit. The recruit fell to the ground with an agonized scream. A black tar-like substance began flowing from his every orifice.
What?
The ooze spread unnaturally across the ground and cohered into a glob. It rose up like a beast, raising its head. It looked like claws began forming. Its appearance showed clear signs that it possessed some malevolent will. The man thought again about the curator group's initial proposal. We wish to collaborate with police on an unofficial department for eliminating monsters. Without a doubt, this was what they referred to. The name that came up again and again was...
This is a shadow.
That it is. It's a monster that dwells in every person's heart. They usually can't manifest themselves this way, but it's quite common to see it happen during the Dark Hour.
So the research to make this happen artificially. That's what Kirijo has been experimenting with.
That did seem to be the extent of it. At the start.
At the start, the man couldn't prevent himself from shuddering to imagine implications of her statement. For a second, or the half-liquefied shadow suddenly took the form of some fell beast. And the face was nothing but a mask, giving it a bizarre appearance of two creatures stitched together. The young woman, for her part, seemed not in the least perturbed.
Kikuno, my things, please.
The maid stopped to reach something. The man wasn't sure what she had been carrying, but she placed a sword in her master's hand. The blade was specifically shaped and designed to a fencing saber.
You're going to fight it?
Stay back. This will all be over soon.
At that moment, as if understanding the conversation, the shadow squared itself and leapt towards the young woman. Its speed matched its beastly appearance. In the darkness of the room, the man found it difficult simply keeping his eye on it. The young woman did not move. Her sword remained lowered in the face of the shadow's advance. Of course, thought the man, an amateur like her could never react to him. However,
Artemisia!
at a word from the young woman, some unseen force slammed the shadow against the wall. The man momentarily doubted his eyes, for it hadn't been the woman who repelled the monster, but a silhouette that suddenly appeared behind her. It looked as though the being enveloped in sublime light, contrasting the shadow's dark glow, was a woman wearing a majestic dress. Its silhouette held up a hand towards the crouching shadow. Once again, the man felt freezing air fill the room. Without the shadow stopped moving, frost crystallized all over it, turning into an ice sculpture within seconds. Only then did the young woman swing the sword in her hand for the first time.
Ha!
A white gleam arced through the air. Upon impact, the frozen enemy shadow like it had been crystallized sugar rather than ice. Victory was one-sided. The man hesitated to call it a battle.
Are you all right?
The young woman turned towards the man. The sound of her boots hitting the floor gave him the jarring realization she hadn't moved a single step during the fray. Seeing that he was at a loss for words, she gave him a gentle smile. It's all too much for the man. He actually felt relieved to be protected by this small woman. One thing was obvious. She had been through countless battles, much like the one he just witnessed.
Your fallen employee's life is in no danger, but he'll be very weak. Make sure he gets to a hospital. Should I make the arrangement?
No, I should at least handle that. It is a public security matter.
With a nod, the young woman approached the small box and manipulated it in a way he couldn't quite catch. The eerie yellow-green light began to fade. Moments later, the silence and darkness faded. The world had been restored. Man felt his body suddenly become lighter, causing a breath of a sigh of relief. He hadn't realized until the pressure was gone that the air had been as suffocating as if he had been underwater. There was a stir of movement in the room. The forensics team and assistant looked at the man and young woman perplexed. Man took a quick look around. Fragments of shattered door were strewn about. A young public security worker was laying unconscious nearby, and the curious guest who had entered without anyone noticing held in her hand a drawn sword.
I'd be shocked too if I were them.
It occurred to him if normal people couldn't see the dark hour, the sun-changing circumstances may have seemed to them like some magic trick.
Excuse me, but this place is off limits to all unauthorized personnel. Hey, what's going on here?
Forensic staff looked at the man helplessly.
It's all right. We had a little emergency. That aside, halt all examination of the relics they brought in. We'll wait for further instructions from the Kirijo group.
Huh? But you said...
If there are any boxes that are closed, don't force them open. Not if you don't want to come face to face with monsters.
Leaving the frowning forensics team behind, the man quickly went into the hall with Kirijo.
I have to thank you for your help. And about the conference. I'll join in as well. It's been arranged so nothing you say would get through to the higher-ups.
The young woman was surprised at what amounted to a confession of betrayal. She didn't show it.
Are you saying you will reconsider your plan?
I can't overlook anything as serious as this. I wouldn't be doing my job as public security if I did. But make no mistake, the things I saw today are proof of the sins the Kirijo group has committed. They can't be punished under the law, but now that they're known, atonement will be made in some shape or form.
Indeed. I never intended anything less.
You really put one over on us this time. Well, there's no need to be coy. What happened today was no accident, was it? We'd never have believed the reports unless we saw it in person. That's why such a dangerous box had no lid.
There was no lid. That's not possible. That box was classified as risk level 3. It should have been securely fastened.
The young woman fell silent, then grasped and gave the maid walking silently behind her a look.
Kikuno.
The maid continued without the slightest sign of remorse and left her master behind. Both the man and the young woman sighed at once.
Us guys in public security have a reputation for being tough. But it seems like you guys are no slouches yourselves.
A summit that was meant to be perfunctory refusal took an unexpected turn. Promises were made to continue the talks. 6 months passed. After many opportunities to show the actual samples to the dignitaries were set up, a proposed special unit was established in mostly the form Kirijo requested. Security Department Shadow Response Unit. It was the inauguration of the special unit that would in time be nicknamed the Shadow Operatives. Oh geez, I don't know where I wonder what I can oversave. Okay. Indeed, the Shadow Operatives. I'm quite fond of the name. Not that I normally pay much heed to these things, but in this case I admit it to being pleased. Started as sarcasm on the part of the higher rank personnel from the police. You could be taken to mean those who deal with shadows, but the real meaning is those who operate in the shadows. Not only is the unit unofficial, we have a difficult to credit job of exterminating monsters. Mostly I suspect it was a dig at our group that disturbed the unexpected peaceful years before the older personnel's retirement. But Shadow Operatives could also be one who does an indispensable, albeit unrewarded job for society. It's a name truly befitting of this organization's goals. We're approaching the first anniversary of the Shadow Operatives establishment. Though we're still at level of basic investigation and laying groundwork, it seems a full-scale case has arisen.
Fighting is not our first option, but I'd be more reassured with you then. We have a general idea of where it was taken, the Inaba area, where there were reports of suspected shadow activity last year.
Good, as it is to hear from an old reliable friend, I limit to call it to a quick exchange of information.
I'll send you the precise location later. Sorry to call when you just returned from a trip, but I'm relying on your assistant.
I close my cell and turn towards my colleague.
He's only just returned and he's going directly to the location from the airport. Akihiko never changes.
The man I was on the phone with just now is Akihiko Sanada. He's one of our non-permanent staff. Akihiko's an excellent persona user, but beyond that, he's a skilled boxer. He's a friend of mine from high school who fought the shadows alongside me. I admire his strict determination and never neglect his training, but this extreme lengths he goes to can be rather inconvenient. After entering college, he accepted my invitation to be one of the founding Shadow Operatives, but it was his actions afterward that went above and beyond. Sure, I'll join, but if I'm going to use my strength professionally, I want to get my skills to a level I'm happy with first. Thus began his training expedition. He was not only wandering the country, he's traveling the entire world. I can't decide whether to be dumbfounded or impressed by his dedication to training. All of this is to say that he only just returned to Japan to take part in this operation. Give a wry smile and lean back in my chair. See me relax, the girl watching nearby smiles. This is Aigus, known for her blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. She's a sweet girl on the outside, but she was what it takes to be an important member of our squad.
Will we be able to find Labris? My sister?
When I look over at Aigus, her eyes are cast down with a worried expression.
Will we be able to save her? Isn't that what you really want to ask?
She must have known once I called Akihiko in as backup. There's a possibility that we have to fight Labris, knowing that it's not a great leap to imagine that in the worst case she may have to be destroyed. And it's true, alas, if all else fails and our safety is at risk, we have no other option to stop her. The option is on the table still.
Don't worry. As I mentioned to Akihiko, fighting Labris is not our priority. The reason I formed this shadow operative team is to save lives. We will find her, whatever it takes, and bring her back. We can do this.
Yes. I'm sorry to be so pessimistic.
Those feelings you have for Labris, you should tell her when you see her.
I will.
The monitor is showing certain data that is under multiple redundant encryptions. Kirijo Ergonomics Research Lab confidential matters. There is in fact a reason I'm reviewing these materials that are normally securely concealed. 2 days ago, on May 1st, I was unexpectedly dragged into a serious incident. The passenger plane I was taking to Kagoshima was hijacked, when there hasn't been a domestic hijacking for 10 years. The top brass of the police, afraid to make any mistakes, sent in the shadow operatives. The case itself was resolved quickly and all the culprits arrested. None of the passengers were harmed either. But the hijackers' true motive wasn't terrorism or political demands, as one would expect. I was surprised to find they were really after my cargo. It was a sealed box from the Ergonomics Research Lab that we were transporting to Yakushima on that flight. No one thought that the risky hijacking could have been in pursuit of just the cargo, and as a result, one of the objects was stolen. The arrested suspects are all in police custody, but none of them have memory of carrying out the crime. Someone was pulling the strings, very probably using uncommon methods. Considering that Puppet Master was targeting shadow-related cargo, I doubt they'll be easy to deal with. As for what was stolen, I just mentioned its name a moment ago. The 5th-generation anti-shadow suppression weapon Labris is an older model from 2 generations ago. Since shadow-related ergo research documents were lost in an accident, we know little about Labris. She's an android, most likely a female version, just like Aigus. But instead of a weapons loadout, she seems to be outfitted with some kind of experimental equipment. That's all we know. Still, thanks to our collaborators' quick wit, the escaping vehicle was traced to the end system. It wasn't easy, but we managed to pinpoint its location. It was headed for the city of Inaba, where there may have been a shadow activity last year. Once the preparations to depart are complete, I'll head there myself. My mind wanders a bit. Though I was unaware of them, the shadow of the sins committed in the Kirijo name is still so painful. 10 years on that. Sometimes I want to avert my eyes. But now is not the time to be bound by the past. Now is the time to act. I suddenly noticed that Aigus has been staring at me weirdly. I gave her a smile and stand up decisively. We're pulling up to Yaso Inaba, the central town of Inaba. Though it's the central town, the main street seems nearly deserted, and there's virtually no activity to be seen through the car windows. It was confirmed that the vehicle transporting Labris was abandoned here. Our first move would be confirm the situation, or so I thought. I attempt to ignore the rude stares of people trying to get a look inside the car, focusing instead on the center of my teeth. People keep crowding around when we park. We have to move it a number of times already. We didn't get a moment's peace until the car reached the junkyard on the outskirts of town. As I try to keep from sighing, Aya speaks up from her seat in front of me.
Mitsuru-san, our activities are supposed to be undercover, correct?
Yes.
For undercover missions, it will be necessary to keep all personnel and vehicles from being noticed.
Right.
Mitsuru-san, may I say something that I've been meaning to say for a while now?
No.
Understood.
Aigus's poker face is perfect blank, though I understand where she's getting at, and I actually wanted to say something along those lines to those around me for a while. Still, it would be galling to hear from somewhere in Alice just now.
All I told them was to give us a car with enough space.
Our contact has arrived.
The man approaching is someone whose cooperation I specifically requested. His name is Detective Kurosawa. Before I can welcome him, Aigus speaks up.
Oh my. This was not our designated meeting area, yet he has discovered us.
You want to know how I did it?
Lately, it feels that whenever Aigus wants to voice her opinion to me, she intentionally puts on the robot act. They mentioned this at the lab, that if Igus still speaks in that stiff, formal manner, if she's getting too human and is developing habits, or she's doing it on purpose. Honestly.
We appreciate your cooperation, Detective Kurosawa.
Long time no see, miss. And I guess, was it?
Indeed. It has been a while.
Detective Kurosawa was an officer at a police box near the school we attended 3 years ago. He was shunned for cooperating with us and busted back down to officer, but now that the shadow operatives are officially recognized, he's in their good graces again. A man who can be trusted beyond the confines of his station to solve a case, even going so far as to bend the rules. He's a rare breed. Detective Kurosawa's expression is softened while he makes small talk with Igus, which makes me realize this may be the first time he's seen Igus in her combat form.
I shouldn't make you stand while we talk. Please, get in.
Ah, sorry. I haven't seen you in a while, so I had a lot to say.
He must understand that we're trying to go incognito, though it's kind of him not to point out the vehicle and tire are complete, and so to that goal, he enters the limousine. He sits down and does not even wait until the doors close before getting to the point.
I found out quite a bit regarding the case you had me look into. First, I reviewed the report on the incidents from last year. One of the suspects mentioned the word persona.
So what went on here last year?
It's probably related, but I wasn't done there. Parts of this guy's testimony were even more outlandish. If you can take what's in the record at face value, it seems persona users can enter TVs within the Inaba region.
Enter TVs? What does that mean?
Just what it sounds like. You physically stick your body into the screen and go inside. He claimed there was another world in the TV. Dropping people inside it was the method behind last year's murders.
This all sounds rather absurd. I'm surprised it was included in the police report.
I got in touch with the detective in charge at the time and said the same thing. Apparently the report was filed by a young partner of his at the time. He'd entertained the wildest testimonies like this one.
He sounds like quite the oddball.
If this was what really went on, the police would have had no chance cracking. But that Detective Dojima is one shrewd guy. Even with all the supernatural hocus-pocus surrounding the case, he caught the culprit.
What I asked of him was to collect information about the serial murders that occurred in Inaba last year. Shadow operatives aren't public knowledge, so I thought the local police would be more willing to speak with him, but the results surpassed expectations. Though it's slightly frustrating to utterly run up against them, I'm powerless to achieve myself.
That's all I have for you right now. I should be going. I doubt either of us has time to reminisce over the old days. It's funny, though. I thought the fighting was over. You guys surprise me every time I see you.
Thank you very much, Officer Kurosawa. Why don't we at least see you off?
Oh, that's all right. I've got my own car. I doubt my department would appreciate your tastes. If I ever showed up for work in something like this, I'd be the talk of the force until the day I retired.
Detective Kurosawa jokes with us before exiting the limousine, waving casually back at us. I had nothing to say to that as I watched him leave, rotating his shoulders to work out some kinks. I guess Thao felt the need to comment.
Mitsuru-san, this could be bad. Our sense of social aptitude is in question.
Can't deny that.
What should we do now?
Yeah, first, we'll need to test the claim that Persona users can enter TVs.
We are at a junkyard after all, and I can see a number of consumer electronics that have been discarded illegally. I guess looks around and points at a certain pile as she gets out of the car.
There is a discarded TV over there. If the environment does not matter, we can use it to test the phenomenon.
Wait, I get it.
Don't worry. I'm just going to touch it.
That's not what I was worried about. Igus isn't wearing anything like a disguise, and no, I'm overthinking this. We've already attracted enough attention. Even if we leave now without doing anything, our pictures could still end up on the internet. Let them gossip about strange people in funny clothes. It'll become some urban legend. My mind made up. I step outside wearing my special equipment. Once Igus sees that I follow her, she gives a small nod and stretches her hand out toward the screen.
Amazing.
Her hand is inside the TV screen, but the screen itself seems undamaged. Igus' hand is swallowed up to her wrist, as if she put in a bucket of water.
Interesting. It's exactly as the police report said. What's it like inside? Do you feel anything?
Not particularly. No. Wait a moment. It's the same as mine. It's hard to say definitively since this is my first encounter with it. But I believe this reading is from a personality module.
Does that mean our retrieval target is inside the TV?
Huh. Sounds like fun.
The voice from above. It sounds very familiar, but I see in the direction from where it came from as a man in an outlandish red cape. I hesitate for a moment. Could it be?
Is that Akihiko?
The man leaps from the stacked tower of TVs like an acrobat.
You didn't show up at the rendezvous point, so I went looking and found you here. This whole TV thing is pretty interesting.
In spite of myself, I bury my face in my palm.
Akihiko, what on earth are you wearing? Just what were you doing overseas?
Didn't I tell you that I was on a training expedition?
Don't tell me you came here from the airport like that. Does the concept of keeping a low profile mean nothing to you?
Mitsuru-san, I believe we have lost the right to complain about that.
That's it. I'm never mentioning the subject of our appearance again.
Anyway, we can go inside from that TV, right? What are we waiting?
Still the same Akihiko. We don't know the situation inside yet, and we'll need a secure means of getting out.
So what? If we want to get this Labrys back, someone has to go inside, right?
Well, that's...
Our target hijacked a plane to throw her into a TV in this town. If we sit on our hands, it's possible we'll be put in serious
Look at those
danger.
ripped abs. Akihiko's right. That's exactly why I've been trying to act as quickly as possible since the case began.
We're different from how we used to be. We made the choice to fight shadows as professionals. That's why I traveled around the world and trained harder than ever. And now that something's actually come up, you're hesitating? We agreed to do this. I'm ready to stake my life on the mission.
Recklessly unafraid to say as I was pinning classic Akihiko. He must understand that this is his role. So there's times when I need such opinions, and it's been a while since he went aboard. I think I can understand his current mindset.
All right. Wait right here. I need to go make a phone call first.
Okay, make it quick.
He doesn't have to tell me twice. Take out my phone and bring up the contact list. A world inside a TV. I don't know what it might be like in there, but I do know someone that could help us. I was originally going to ask their help after Labrys was secured, but perhaps time has come. Now, I've taken all possible precautions. The rest is a test of our resolve. Yeah, Elgatos aren't cheap, Christina.
The other members will wait here in the car.
Yeah. If we all barge in and something happens, we'll be devastated.
Now that you mention it, at least one of us should be staying behind as well.
I am not staying.
Us three will be plenty. We'll end this in a flash. No problem.
The same as always. Although, we have no idea what might be waiting for us on the other side. Don't get careless.
Right.
This situation, it brings back memories.
Yeah, the Elgato you need for the PS4, if you want the best one, is the HD60S. You need the Elgato HD60S. That's what you need for the PS4 if you want the best that you can get. The HD60 also works, but it's a little bit more outdated. I would get the S. If you're going to put in the money, you might as well spend the extra $20, $30 to get the S. But,
Why enter the TV?
just remember,
What's going on?
if you're getting a capture card, you're going to need a laptop or a PC. Otherwise, it's not going to do you any good. But, yeah, don't get just... There's a ton of Elgatos. There's the Elgato capture card, Elgato HD60, HD60S, HD60S Plus, Elgato 4K Pro, 4K Pro Plus. I mean... Yeah, it's just the HD60S is what you want. Yeah, you don't want to buy the wrong one because they're expensive, so...
Where am I? Is this inside the TV?
I remember being enveloped in a white light, but what came afterwards is unclear. Is this the world inside the TV? Oddly enough, the sight before me seems to be the main gate of a school. The name engraved on the entrance plate is...
Yasagami High School. I do recall that name from our map of Inaba. An existing high school has been completely recreated inside the TV?
I then came to a realization. I've encountered something much like this before. It doesn't appear to be much different from reality as far as appearances. But it has that same distinctive sticky atmosphere. The Labyrinth Tartars, that was our battleground 3 years ago, it bears a lot of similarity to this place.
Wait, where are the others? Akihiko! I guess.
Being separated won't do anything to further our mission. Perhaps I can use my communication power to get in touch with them?
I can't reach them through my persona either. This place is highly unusual.
It's still barely functioning, but the noise here is severe. I need to understand this world a little better and find a quiet place to concentrate. As I check my surroundings again for any enemies, I hear the sound of footsteps. I tense, make myself ready for anything. But I turn around, a uniformed girl stops looking at me in bewilderment.
Huh?
I didn't expect to meet someone else here, let alone a seemingly ordinary schoolgirl like this. Could her age and outfit be a belied connection to the theft of Labrys? But after the girl's surprise faded, she still seems confused by my appearance. It seems that even here in another dimension, people are startled by my attire. At least her reaction allayed my suspicions. People reveal something of themselves when they're caught off guard. Anyone in the act of committing a crime couldn't fake being perplexed so naturally.
Did I surprise you? I suppose my outfit is somewhat unusual.
Oh, no.
Why are you here?
Well,
A loud cheer suddenly swells, cutting off our conversation. This is definitely a crowd present here. I look around the arena in confusion.
Where is that coming from?
Students appear one after another, clearly intrigued to see us here.
what's going on?
Before I can react, an image appears on the monitor, buried beneath the bizarre decorations.
Hello! This is General Teddy, your benevolent...
Wouldn't it be your elephant? It's kind of hard to say. Bear elephant dictator.
And I, Rosette, am your commentator. It's time for the next round in the P1 Grand Prix. Are you ready to fight?
P1 Grand Prix? Fight?
Suddenly on the screen, this ridiculous costume cue, smoke pours out around us. Spotlight shines from somewhere directly upon us. I instinctively raise my arm to shield my eyes from the harsh light. It feels like I'm being displayed for an audience.
And who do we have for Yuki-chan's opponent this time? Ooh! It's a mysterious, beautiful lady! How unexpected!
Teddy? What's wrong?
Do you know that bear?
Monitor showing the one in the costume clump himself generous and suddenly fuzzes over Static. Static gets worse and worse until an eerily expressionless bear costume that looks as though it forgot how to make facial expressions appears on screen. The voice is the same as before, but his tone is harsh and mechanical now.
Case 04. Unintended intruder. Entering elimination process.
What is that supposed to mean? Ugh. What's going on?
As soon as the abnormality registers, I feel a bizarre noise that's like something scratching against my whole body. Was that some kind of an attack? It didn't seem to have any effect on me, but the girl standing beside me underwent quite a change.
You. Who do you think you are, showing up alone like this? It's no use trying to talk your way out of it. There's nothing to discuss. You don't even try to understand anyone anyway. If you want to wall yourself off from everyone, I'll be happy to end your lonely life here.
The girl's face distorts with hatred as she spits her words at me. It's a far cry from her earlier demeanor. As if she's a completely different person, and that's not at all. Understandably, she seemed not to know me before, but now she speaks as if she does. What is this? Could it be the effect of the noise I sense?
You won't be so smug for long. Come, Konohana Sakuya.
A persona?
Girl spreads the fan in her hand, and with a flash of light, a persona manifests. How careless of me. I should have accounted for this possibility as soon as I saw her in this world.
We won't be settling this peacefully, I see. In which case?
I ready my invoker and concentrate.
To me, Artemisia.
Power rises from within me, and the sensation in my limbs tells me that my persona has emerged. But my hand holding the evoker is still at my side. My persona, did I just summon it without the use of my evoker to trigger it? Did I summon it only by thinking? Theoretically, one doesn't need an evoker to summon one's persona. I didn't have one the day my persona first manifested, and I've done it without one several other times as well. But never before I've summoned it so easily without any special concentration. It's as if my consciousness is reaching far beyond the boundaries of my body. By way of analogy, it feels like being able to control the wind with my fingertips. Could it be because this world is special? The girl's voice brings me back to the situation at hand. Which reminds me, the girl doesn't seem to use any special implements to summon either.
Persona user. Fine. I still won't lose.
Sorry, but I won't be defeated either.
Holy shit! Holy shit, Mitsuru! Oh my god! That is... She is strong. I need a Teddy and Mona shenanigans. Isn't that in Persona 2? Persona Q2? I think. Once the battle ends, the monitor nearby switches on.
An irregularity has occurred. Multiple intruders detected. Emergency. Intruders are Persona users. Due to difficulties in elimination, they will be acknowledged as valid targets.
He obviously refers to myself and the others. Does he mean that if he's going to adjust his tactics for dealing with us to our various strengths? The way he said that seems like a bad omen.
Valid targets.
I understand that we're considered to be intruders, but what did he mean by that? It seems we're part of the tournament now, but what was the enemy's original plan? The monitor screen fuzzes again once more. It shows the costume person as he originally appeared.
Hey, you need to let me know if you want to get in on the fun. But this is a unique situation, and you're one hot mama, so I'll make an exception. Just keep putting on a good show in your next bout, too.
Who are you? Why don't you take off that strange costume and show your face?
Hey now, I don't think a lady walking around in a cat suit like yours can talk to me about my bear suit. Enough with the questions. Move on.
Again, yet another person hung up on my outfit. Oh, it's unlike me to let my enemy's words get under my skin. Monitor switches off with those cheeky words.
Is that costume thing the one who stole Labris? If so, then what's the purpose of this bizarre tournament? Fine. I'll get a read on your location.
Quickly link my communicator and persona. Some personas are more suited to operational support and the direct combat. In my case, though, the power is secondary. We normally have a persona user who specializes in that role. With some specialized equipment I can get by. I focus my consciousness to send it drifting throughout the surrounding area. The enemy must think he's keeping an eye on us, but he'll learn soon enough that he's not the only one with a bird's eye view of the situation. Before the layout of the space becomes clear, an unexpected change occurs around me. When I use my power, noise runs through the students that have been spectating. In an instant, they turn into something like silhouettes that barely have human shapes. It seems like their true colors have been exposed. Are they not humans?
What? Were they shadows? If they were, I don't sense any hostility from them. Were they just set dressing that thing in the costume prepared?
Apparently this disturbance isn't so serious, and the large crowd that cheered implied was made up entirely of people who entered the TV, which leaves it a mystery, but it may be best considered a blessing.
In any case, it appears that apart from this girl here, none of those students were real.
Girl head collapsed on the floor is coming around. I release my persona and rush over to help her up. I wasn't fighting my foes, so she shouldn't be suffering from any real wounds. There are many mysteries surrounding this girl. She seems to be more than just an associate of one of the bear costume. The moment a girl sees me, she jumps back like a startled animal. Speech is flustered, her face a bright blushing red. There are tears in her eyes.
How come you knew about that?
About what?
That was private. I never even told anyone at the inn about that. I can't believe someone I've never even met before knew.
Girl covers her red face in shame. I try and think back of what I said to her. Did I point out anything that would cause such a reaction? One detail jumps out at me. When the girl's manner of speech shifted before our battle, it wasn't just her personality that abruptly changed. Though we had just met, she talked as if she knew me more than she knew about my past.
That reminds me. That noise I sensed earlier is gone.
Yet the girl before me no longer bears any of senseless animosity from aboard.
It seems to have been some kind of interference from the enemy. And to think of it, that bear was egging us on. The interference must have been to ensure two total strangers would fight. General Teddy, was it? He looked comical enough, but he certainly put an elaborate scheme in motion.
No. How could Teddy...
She seems to have finally calmed down and continues wondering with a perplexed expression.
You know the one in costume, I take it?
Oh, I know him very well. He's usually not like this at all.
Take the girl's hand again and help her to her feet.
I'm Mitsuru Kirija. I've come here in search of a unique object. Why don't we start over? If you don't mind, I'd like to hear a little about yourself.
Yes. Oh, my name's Yukiko Amagi. I'm sorry for losing my composure just now.
So, Amagi, why did you come to this world?
Where to start? So many strange things happened over the last year.
First glance, she looks like an Aurora student, so why is she here inside the TV? Magi briefly summarized her recent past to me in an even tone of voice. According to this world was prominent in a serial murder case last year. She and her friends awakened to their personas while investigating the case and eventually solved it. In the case's conclusion, the world formed by people's thoughts returned to its original state. None of this contradicts what I learned from Detective Kurosawa.
A realm inside a TV, formed by people's thoughts. It sounds absurd, but that would explain the incongruity I sensed when I used my persona.
We thought the case had been solved, but lately there's been another strange program on the air. My friends and I couldn't ignore that, so we came back here.
Your friends? Are there others here besides yourself?
Yes, I was with 3 other people, but we got separated when we entered. The one in costume and the girl who called herself Rosette are friends of ours too, but they're acting so strangely.
So this is not the way they generally behave.
I can feel from Amagi's reaction that normally she trusts these two implicitly. Considering what the enemy did to her earlier, could they be under its control as well? Either way, it sheds no light on the theft of Labrys. How are they related, or is this incident only coincidence?
There's one more thing I'm curious about. Have you ever heard the name Labrys?
Labrys? No, I don't think I've ever heard of that before. What is it?
It's the thing I'm searching for. What makes it problematic is that I know nothing of its appearance. Honestly, I'm not sure it has anything to do with this disturbance, though I can't write it off completely as irrelevant.
Though it appears that there is no connection, whoever went so far as to hijack a plane to steal Labrys brought her all the way here. No matter how I look at it, that means something.
Anyway, thank you for your cooperation. I understand the situation better now. We should stay together going forward.
Whoa! Think again, lady!
General title of the same players on the screen and open for conversation.
Only the winner of each bout can go on. Rule number 1 in the Grand Prix.
How exactly can that rule be enforced? As if to answer any unspoken question, Amagi makes an odd gesture.
There's nothing here, but I can feel something. A wall? Wait, but Mitsuru-san could...
Amagi looks at me expectantly. I take a tentative step and walk through the place where she claims there's a wall.
Like I said, you're stuck there until the tournament's over. Only winners get to go. Come on, miss. You won. So it's time to barrel forward to the next
Barrel? Oh my god. I must leave the girl alone in this strange world then, though I'm uneasy about doing so. Amagi seems to read my thoughts and smiles.
Thank you, but I'll be alright. I fought shadows for an entire year too. I can protect myself.
I see. In that case, I'll press on and do my best to rescue your friend.
If you see them, please tell them I'm alright and they shouldn't worry about me. You be careful too, Mitsuru-san.
Amagi smiles resolutely. She's a very strong girl.
All right, I'll pass that along.
I nod, acknowledging her wishes, turn my back to walk away.
Not only do they tamper with our minds, they prevent us from leaving until the tournament is settled. It may not necessarily ruin friendships, but there's no way forward than to fight one another. The loathsome trick. It seems the mastermind is intent on us fighting each other.
I grit my teeth in anger. Amagi's clear eyes remain in my heart. This operation, it's no longer just to retrieve Labrys. I make a silent vow as I go. Everyone who has been dragged into this must be rescued.
Another dead end.
As I step into the school, I realize that these invisible walls are everywhere, blocking off routes that seem open to the naked eye. Why is the thief who stole Labrys gathering persona users in this world? Not having a clear idea of their motives is aggravating my anxiety. I guess Nakihiko may be dragged in this Grand Prix as well. If so, we need to compare notes. If all goes well, we may figure out the location of the mastermind behind this that I failed to grasp earlier. After quickly confirming there are no shadows nearby, I link my communicator with my persona. Focus my consciousness and send it drifting throughout the surrounding area.
Hurts. So lonely.
The presence is faint and I can't tell where it is, yet I can definitely hear a voice. It seems I could sense it because of my secondary support capabilities, but when I focus harder, it doesn't seem that they're trying to communicate with me. It's more likely the words and intense emotion behind them are seeping out of the room itself, perhaps even from all around me. Eventually the voice becomes clear.
I'm scared. Not alone. It hurts. Why? Why won't anyone listen?
I don't recognize the voice. Perhaps one of Amagi's
I
friends.
didn't ask to be born a machine. How come no one understands? What's the difference between normal people's hearts and
A
mine?
machine? Is that Labrys?
I stand up and try calling to her,
Are you nearby? Answer me!
but there is no answer. It seems that it's not because of the voice's owners nearby that I can hear her. It is subtly different from hearing voices with one's ears, it's true. I focus my senses once again, but I still can't tell exactly where it's coming from. Not yet. Having a thorough command of the layout here makes it harder to pinpoint. Eventually the voice fades and only silence remains.
Going by what she said, that had to have been Labrys. It sounds as if her heart has developed further than we thought.
Even I guess the latest model required a lot of time and experience to develop the heart she has. So then why does Labrys, who's been sealed from her development up to now, have such an advanced
I
heart?
didn't ask to be born a machine. It pains me to hear that.
The anti-shadow suppression weapons, both Aegis and Labrys, were created as insurance for dangerous shadow experimentations in case the subject should go berserk. The only thing that can stand up against shadow is a persona. Being able to control one is an absolute necessity when dealing with shadows. Thus they were given hearts in order to be able to induce their ability to use personas, but a weapon that has a heart contradicts itself. It was natural for Aigis to face the contradiction, and it caused her serious anguish in the past.
We can't allow victims like her to be tormented by sins of the past, whether they're...
Newly resolved, I press on. I continue through school, still unable to contact Aigis or Akihiko. The invisible walls seem to be leading me towards a gym. Compared to the ones back at Gakuken High, this one is rather modest, but the chairs are stacked to unusual heights and monitors everywhere give it an eerie air. Ah, the monitor is switching on again. This time it's not showing General Teddy. How strange. This appears to be a commercial for a fighting event.
What in the...
Succession of young men and women are introduced as participants. One of them I recognize as Amagi.
They're wearing the same uniforms as Amagi. I assume these are the friends she spoke of.
All of them are introduced with horrible epithets, but the Amagi I met in person was a completely different, sophisticated girl. She was the enemy made up all the taglines. Just as Amagi's introduction ends, the video suddenly turns off and General Teddy's face appears on screen.
I had to completely rejigger the bracket to accommodate 3 new contestants. Jeez.
3 new contestants. Myself, Akihiko, and Aigis?
On the other paw, the tournament's more exciting with more people in it. But getting back on track, allow me to introduce your next opponent.
When I enter, someone who has already been there turns around his face. It was on the video a moment ago.
There's people besides us here?
You're...
Holy crap, she's smoking hot. What she's wearing doesn't hurt either.
You were in that video just now. What was it they called you? Captain Ressentiment?
How come you remember that stupid title and not my real name? Figures I need a knockout like this. She already knows about that. God, I wish I was dead.
Apparently the epithets from the video hit a sore point with the people featured. Nickname left more of an impression than his real name, so it just slipped out. At that moment, General Teddy appears again, one of the larger monitors inside the gym.
How do you like your opponent?
Why are you making us fight? What benefit do you derive from this nonsense?
So many questions. I just want you all to suffer. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that fun?
That's what this is about? No. If Labrys is involved, there's more to it, isn't there?
Enough jibber jabber. Hurry and start the fight. Look at your opponent. Ready, see?
General Smirk strikes me as incongruous. It's the same as that time with Amagi. As I glare at the monitor thinking the more interference is at work here, I unexpectedly hear bitter words.
Yeah, Teddy's right. I mean, you're the one who barged in here. Man, who'd come to such a dangerous place without hesitating? You really are an ice queen. I bet you don't have many friends, huh?
It's happening again. The moment the noise kicks in, not only does my opponent's personality change, he's speaking of things they shouldn't know about. It's exactly what happened with Amagi.
You talk as if you know me.
Stop acting so calm and changing the subject. You seem like you don't know much about this world. So how do you plan to get out? Don't tell me you rushed in here with no escape plan. Oh, man, seriously? You're nuts. People like you who obsess over responsibility and put all the burden on yourselves, you annoy the hell out of me.
It doesn't matter how others perceive me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Isn't that because you don't trust anyone?
We clearly can't have a normal conversation with the enemy's interference, but even knowing that, I catch myself trying to argue the point. The heavy responsibility they suffer is mine alone. If I share it with someone, that means the suffering will also be shared. That is why I try to be self-sufficient. The more I care about someone, the less I'm willing to rely on them. But isn't that no better than not believing in them? I've been caught in that trap before. Maybe I truly haven't escaped it, but how could he guess my private distress? One that I barely confided to others before.
I was supposedly an unexpected intruder.
What do you mean? Well, let me ease your mind. I'll end everything for... Let's do this, Jiraiya!
Yosuke-senpai! Beat up that shady lady! Let the fight begin!
I can see there'll be no talking sense with him like this. There's nothing for it then. Artemisia!
Here comes Yosuke-senpai! Sayonara, Junen!
Damn. You just cornered her then. God damn, the jiggle physics on her sprite. Wow. Those are big old jiggle physics. Woo-hoo-wee!
Aw, you're so useless, Yosuke-senpai. Unfortunately, the party crasher wins.
The girl on the PA system was rather casual with her insults. Soon after, General Teddy appeared on the monitor.
So strong, miss. I can barely believe how gorgeous and powerful you are.
It seems they're not provoking us only to have us fight one. And their method. Is it more like an illusion they're casting over us, rather than some sort of mind?
Still trying to figure everything out? Switch your brain off and enjoy the Grand Prix already.
Sorry, but I'm not some savage who enjoys the suffering of others. And don't call me Miss. My name is Mitsuru Kirijo.
Kirijo?
You've toyed with us, and I don't take that lightly. I'll make you pay for what you've done. You better be prepared for that.
Kirijo.
Well, when he hears my voice, the face of the barricade distorts into a mask of hate.
You're the one who should be prepared. I'll never let you stop me.
The broadcast ends after he flings those words at me.
I mentioned my name on purpose. He reacted as strongly to the name Kirijo as I thought he would.
I still don't know anything for certain, but I'm increasingly sure that General Teddy is related to the circumstances surrounding Labras.
At first, I thought I'd stumbled into an irrelevant side incident, but evidently not. We were meant to come here.
Just then, the young man behind me slowly gets to his feet.
Ah, you're awake.
It seems now the battle is settled, the interference causing us both to seem odd has vanished. Hanamura cringes away frightened. Can't help but shrug.
My. Magi reacted the same way. Were the things that the illusory me said that?
Oh, you bet. Wait, what? Illusory? And did you just say Amagi? You meant Yukiko?
Yes, before I came here. I was forced to fight her.
I explained the situation, but I also added that she shared information with me on last year's case. That should help prove that I did encounter Amagi. Just on the off chance, I asked Hanamura about Labras, but he seems not to even know the name. Once we finish speaking, he stands up and places his hand on the ear as if touching something there.
Only the winner can move on, huh? I'm the only one who can feel this invisible wall thing, so I guess it's true.
I'm glad you understand. I was worried you'd doubt me since I'm a complete stranger.
Well, you didn't seem like someone who'd try and trick me. I mean, what's the point? I've lost now, so I can't go anywhere.
Indeed. You're very pragmatic.
The young man waves away at my comment.
Nah, after what I went through last year, I just got used to coming smack up against insane stuff in this world. And Yukiko, my friend you met, she believed in you. So I don't mind trusting you too.
I see.
I can't help myself in sign. Their bond seems to be real. I do somewhat envy the way they trust each other without a doubt. That could never have happened unless they had overcome the same trials together.
I'd like your opinion on something. What do you think is the objective of this tournament? That General Teddy said it was all in fun, but I doubt it's anything so.
I've been wondering the same thing, but I don't know. But you know, it might not just be Teddy behind it. I met this weird girl earlier.
A weird girl?
She was about my age, and she said she was the student council president. It was like she had no idea that she was inside the TV world. It doesn't seem very likely, does it?
No, I doubt one could be unaware of such things. It's possible that she didn't come here of her own will.
This may be a school now, but it doesn't always look like this. When normal people who don't have personas come in here, the world changes to reflect what they're thinking. It happened every time a victim was dumped into a TV last year. Maybe this time she's the victim. Even if she means well, she still could have a lot to do with the tournament.
Girl.
Judging from the state of affairs, I'm beginning to think the girl in question is Labras. Since Hanamura doesn't know the details of my mission, it wouldn't occur to him that what I'm searching for is a humanoid weapon with a heart.
What did this girl look like? Did anything about her stand out?
Huh? No, not really. She wore the same uniform as the rest of us.
A uniform?
Considering how Aegis looks, it's possible that Labyrinth's Pierce is quite close to humans, but what doesn't mean that she's completely able to pass as a human. Even Aegis has to wear clothes to cover her entire body in order for her to walk around town. Yet Labyrinth wears the same uniform as them. Chalk up another unsolved mystery, I suppose, but after talking to Hanamura, it does feel like I'm starting to understand the bigger picture here.
I see. Thank you. I'm getting a clearer picture of what's going on. I'm sorry, but I can't stay and chat. I should be leaving now.
Oh, wait a sec. Can I ask you a favor? Can you look after my other friends too? It sucks, but I can't get to them from here. That Teddy's really not a bad guy either. Sure, he eats my ice cream without asking and stuff, but he's not the type of guy who'd get off on watching people hurt each other. There's gotta be some other explanation.
Don't worry. I was already thinking along similar lines. What we saw was an illusion. It may be that they're faced with the same situation. I'll save everyone who's been dragged into this, including your friends, and this student council president.
Thanks. Just hurry before someone else dies in here.
Hanamora's expression, which had been bright, albeit desperate, darkens noticeably. From all I've heard last year, shadows and sort revolved around serial murders. It may be that he lost someone as well. To fight desperately, but lacking the power to make a difference and being forcibly parted from loved ones, I understand that pain all too well.
That must sound pretty lame, losing the fight and then making a lot of demands.
Not so. Your concern for your friends in a situation like this. C'est magnifique.
What?
I sensed it when speaking to Amagi too. But you all seem to have very strong wills. I promise to do what I can to help.
The emotion he seems to view as a weakness are actually a strength. I'm sure that with a little more experience he'll come to realize that. He'll see how difficult it is to hold on to that will and how valuable it is to have friends he can share it with. Since I'm the one who will be moving on, I'm responsible for the duties he entrusted to me. As if sensing my determination, Hanamora's expression turns serious and he nods. After parting with Hanamura, I once again proceed through the school. The invisible walls continue to bar my path. Undoubtedly, the enemy is leading me exactly where he wants me.
Is there no end to this?
The rules of the P1 Grand Prix are powerfully enforced. I tried to see if I could destroy one of these walls, but it doesn't seem as though I can. Maybe if I used all my strength, but in that case I'd be at a disadvantage in the next fight. Either way, it didn't seem worth the trouble. I stray from the suggested route on purpose and open one of the classroom doors. I sense no enemies here, and it doesn't look like I'll run into my next opponent here either. Should be safe here. Once again, I link my communicator with my persona. This time, unlike before, my senses cleanly and smoothly spread outward. I sense two familiar reactions.
Akihiko and Igus. They both seem to be okay.
First, I focus my senses to contact with Igus, who's closer by.
Can you hear me, Igus?
Mitsuru-san, I am relieved to finally hear from you. Is Akihiko-san with you?
No, we were separated, but I've confirmed his safety. I'm sure he won't be defeated that easily.
Igus laughs upon hearing my words.
Let's exchange information while we can.
I gave her a simple outline of the current situation. I mentioned the students that were drawn here, my suspicions that Grand Prix's mastermind is almost certainly related to Labrys, and what I've heard of a girl who I assumed to be Labrys.
I saw that girl a moment ago, though I lost sight of her when the invisible walls blocked my path.
I've been told she looks more human than you. Is that possible?
Not only that, she was almost indistinguishable from a normal person. I couldn't believe it either, yet I definitely sensed a personality module. I don't believe there's any mistake that she is Labrys.
I see.
There's no doubt that General Teddy has the strong ties to Labrys in the Kyrijo group. The girl who we believed to be Labrys is apparently walking around unconstrained. If he can set up this many walls, it should be easy for him to capture her too.
Don't worry about meeting up for now. Under the present conditions, we'd only end up fighting amongst ourselves.
Understood.
I don't know how Labrys ties into this situation yet, but be careful. Hello? Hello?
Igus' voice trails off as my connection to her dies again. I wonder if the enemy noticed our conversation and took preventative measures. Though the voice I'm hearing now definitely isn't General Teddy's.
Ain't there some other way? If there was, then...
That's the same voice from before. Labrys, is that you?
It's happening again. The voice reaches me through my persona ability, but I have the strangest sensation about it. You get the impression the voice is seeping out of the place itself.
Why are you laughing? What about this is funny?
Who is she addressing?
I don't want to fight him anymore!
That reminds me. Hanamura said that the environments here are formed by the thoughts of those who enter this world. Could these be Labrys' innermost thoughts? Is that why everything about this place radiates her?
What do you think we are?
From more experience, not just the voice, but a powerful wave of emotions, they bombard me through my persona's senses. A strong sadness, confusion, despair. I can't help but fall to my knees, though nothing is assaulting me directly. How can I describe this weight? One possible explanation crosses my mind.
She's not addressing anyone. These are her memories. I see. So that's what's going on.
I think back to what General Teddy said, they're making people suffer is fun. I dismissed it as a barbaric desire not worth thinking about too deeply, but in truth, what kind of horrors would someone have to go through to emerge such a stunted perspective?
I'm finally beginning to see the relationship between this tournament and Labyrinth.
In any case, I must proceed on to learn anything. I redouble my resolve and begin walking away. The monitor suddenly turns on, showing the smirkable General Teddy.
What are you getting so sentimental for? The Grand Prix is not over yet!
Then you intend to continue this meaningless farce.
I'll decide what's meaningless or not! Bring out the next challenger!
As soon as the General shouts, smoke gushes out, obstructing my view. It seems he isn't willing to listen to reason at all, not that I expected otherwise. Who will I be forced to fight this time? I strain my eyes to see through the smoke. Looks like it's...
You.
I remember that face. Naoto Shirogane. He was present as a police observer when Labras was being transported to Yakushimi. It was thanks to his quick thinking we discovered Labras had been taken to Inaba. If our trip hadn't been disrupted by the hijacking, he might still be with us in Yakushimi, but why is he here?
This is a problem. I didn't think we'd run into each other, so... Is this another illusion? No. I can see that it isn't. Why are you here? I'll answer that question later. It would be best to say as little as possible for now.
That the young man lifts finger to his lips and gesture to remain silent. Directly afterwards, a static sensation runs through my body. It's then I understand what he meant. Unskin noise, the noise will prevent us from understanding each other properly. You probably also noticed the effect at work. Nothing we say right now could be called conversing. We both understand that neither of us need to take what the other says personally. That's why he called for temporary silence. It's an amazing assessment given the brief time in which he had to make it. For as long as I expect, the young man before me undergoes a complete attitude reversal.
Seriously, such impatience handling the grunt work yourself like this. Isn't micromanaging like this the style of an incompetent leader? One who can't see the bigger picture?
This isn't how he truly feels. I say nothing.
The silent treatment, huh? That's fine. I understand perfectly. You don't believe in people. Not a single one. You have friends and allies, but believing in them is a different thing. I suspect you'll never break down that wall. Shall I say it for you? You're actually scared to. The notion of growing attached to something and losing it scares you so much that you'll share nothing truly important to you. Even if you want to believe in your friends, you can't. That's not true.
After Lord slipped from my mouth, I realized that the argument is futile.
Of course it is. Why not simply admit it? In truth, you have your hands full just expiating your family's sins. You don't need the added burden of others placing their lives in your hands. Isn't that how you really... No!
The young man smirks as if ridiculing my inability to stop myself from responding to his allegations, despite knowing the futility of doing so, but the smirk only helps me to regain my composure. The real Shirogane would never make that face. This is only an illusion.
There's no use continuing this. Not until I eliminate this irritating morale.
Oh, here we go. That was easy.
Oh my! They lost!
Guys, it wasn't me. I was in the vent. Oh, I remember that. Ninja. Ninja Wingy. I turned towards the monitor in the assumption that generator would appear because for some reason this time he doesn't. I'm not sure why, but it at least allows us time to calmly talk things over. I look towards the young man once again.
Am I getting through to you now? Yes. The same goes for me, I presume. It seems we were spellbound until the fight began, as we both suspected. They disrupted our communications to drive a wedge between us and make us fight, though it's a mystery to me as to where it draws such personal slights for the illusions before us. I agree.
He seems to bear no animosity and is willing to discuss things, but to be honest, I'm not sure where we stand. Why is he here? I can think of several possible explanations, but if he secretly followed us in, his candidness may prove dangerous. He gives a sudden wry smile as if sensing my reluctance to trying to assuage it.
There's no need to be cagey. I don't intend to dodge whatever questions you have. You were probably wondering 3 things when you saw me here. First, how did I enter this world? Second, what am I doing in Inaba? And third, if I came here looking for you, what are my true intentions? No wonder you've made a name for yourself as a detective. You're correct on all counts. The first answer is easy. You know now that I can use a persona, allowing me access to the TV world. As for the second, there's no great mystery why I would come to Inaba. I live here. You wouldn't happen to be acquainted with Amagi and Hanamura. You've met my senpai? Your friends. I gather that you're comrades who fought alongside each other during the serial murder case last year. I assume you entered the TV together for the same reason they did, and found yourself dragged into this mess as well.
Whatever doubts I may have had about them, it seems that they're here because we dragged them into this. I'm not very comfortable with that.
So, I must apologize to you. No doubt you already know, but the object we seek has been brought to this world. It's most likely the cause of this disturbance. Whoever learned of this world's existence must have thought it would be useful in whatever they're scheming.
You apologizing to me?
Shirgani shrugs with a wry smile.
Are you so sure you can trust me? You have no guarantee that I'm telling the truth. And there's still the answer to your third question to consider. I haven't yet told you my true motives.
Fair enough. But if you're friends with Amagi and Hanamura, I feel I can trust you. Their bonds with their friends are real.
Perhaps I lied about that too.
But then why would you bring it up? No, you're no villain. That's what my intuition tells me.
You aren't at all the person I thought you'd be.
I'll take that as a compliment.
His smile suggests that it was meant as one. It makes him look as his age or even younger. I can't help but smile at myself at the idea that he's not exactly the hardened detective I imagined him to be.
The Teddy who appeared on that monitor is not our friend. He's an imposter.
You have proof of this?
I found the real Teddy. Our enemy can fog both our eyes and ears. It's possible they can make themselves look like someone else.
I see.
I'm lagging. Hold up. I am? What in the hell is going on? Okay, is it the YouTube server?